Okay, very cool.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the LinkedIn Live with the Pledgettes and YouNancial. Harrison, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Okay, hi guys, my name's Harrison. I'm the marketing director at YouNancial. And with that, I'll pass it on to Ysra.
Hi guys, I'm Ysra. I'm currently a marketing senior at San Jose State University, and I'm YouNancial's social media strategist. And with that, I'll pass it to Jenn from the Pledgettes.
Yay! Hi, I am Jenn Uhen, the founder of the Pledgettes. The Pledgettes is a community for women to talk about money. So each week we bring in a different expert to talk about their favorite money topic. Just this morning, we talked about funeral planning. We've also talked about impact investing, budgeting, real estate, money mindset, kind of the whole gamut of money topics. And then we also have an online community for members to celebrate success, share experiences, and ask questions. And so it made sense that the Pledgettes and YouNancial would get together. Will you share a little bit about YouNancial?
Wait, sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, why don't you share a little bit about YouNancial, Harrison?
Okay, for sure. So YouNancial is a financial literacy platform for students built by students, and essentially we're trying to bridge the financial literacy gap that we're kind of seeing in high school and colleges by providing accessible and hands-on resources. Currently we're building like our first course, so you'll see us cover topics like budgeting, investing, and saving on there, and we're really excited to roll that out soon. And you can actually try out one of our, like, just part of one of our units on our websites at younancial.org.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and Jenn, if you want to share a little bit more about the Pledgettes and what you're currently doing.
Yeah, I think the coolest part about both of our companies is this idea that, financial literacy should be accessible to everyone. So we're seeing the gap between high school and college students. I'm seeing the gap with early professionals and mid-level professionals. And I think we're both all addressing it by increasing financial conversations. And so that's what I really want to talk about today, is how to talk about money with your friends. We know that it's such a sensitive topic, and we kind of chatted last week around this idea of what does it look like to talk money with your friends? And we realized that we really do talk about money often with our friends. So as we were talking about whether it's, making a decision on where we want to go out pre-COVID, what kind of restaurants do we want to go out to? What do we want to do this weekend? Or talking with roommates around how to split bills or how to share the workload. These are all money conversations that are already happening. So, Ysra, what are some money conversations you're having with your friends?
Yeah, of course. I think you mentioned the majority of them. Usually, I think a big one is definitely eating out. We're always talking about, okay, do we have enough money? What type of restaurant do we want to go out to? And sometimes some of my friends do want to go out to the more bougie restaurants, and just depending on my current situation, as being as an open person that I am, I usually tell them, I'm this week I don't feel like I can really do the bougie restaurant. How about we do McDonald's instead? Or sometimes I'll be like, let's just get a coffee instead. We can still hang out. We don't have to go to those super expensive restaurants. And then the weeks where I do get those nice paychecks, then I'm like, okay, guys, let's go to Cheesecake Factory. But yeah, usually it's that, or I know some of my friends really like going to the movies, and the movies are getting, obviously pre-COVID, but they're getting pretty expensive. The last time I went, it was $16 for a movie. And on top of that, you have to buy popcorn, you have to buy all the snacks. And so that's a huge one as well. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I rather just stay home and watch Netflix. Like, let's just do an indoor movie night instead. So those are some of the conversations we have, and I think it's definitely good to be open with your friends about those things, and that's what we'll get to in this conversation later on. But how about I have to pass it on to Harrison? Let's hear what type of conversations do you have with your friends?
Well, first I want to kind of address like the feedback that we might be having in the stream. So I'm actually not typing or anything like that. I think it might just be if you're using, like, for example, a speaker on your computer, maybe it's playing out the audio and then like take it back in. So I'm on my phone right now. It shouldn't have any issues like that, but definitely, like, if anybody in the audience is having those hearing those issues, like, we'll definitely be working through them. But anyways, regarding like talking about money with my friends, I think it's kind of like the same thing with Ysra. Like, you know, sometimes I'm just trying to like save money one week or cook at home, but obviously, like, I still want to hang out with my friends. And sometimes a good alternative to finding a balance is, like, you know, sometimes they'll just hang out in my apartment, right? Like pre-COVID, of course. But honestly, sometimes we just go out and like get boba, and you know, we spend a couple hours out, and maybe like $5 or $6, and we just have a good time talking. So, you know, I think it just goes to show, like, when your friends do understand, it becomes easier to like kind of get through those things, right? Like, and I think that some of us are very lucky to have those understanding friends, but then other friends might not be as understanding, which is kind of why, um, you know, like I guess, like, talk about money and like breaking down this topic in like a comforting and like comfortable and like welcoming way is like kind of important. So
Yeah. And I love, like, you know, if, instead of just every weekend having the same conversation of like, do we do McDonald's or do we do Cheesecake Factory? Like, how can we have a deeper conversation and say, let's kind of think about like the next month or even like this semester. Like, what if this semester we have like 3 big nights out where we go to the Cheesecake Factory, and then the rest of the time we're trying to find ways to save money when we go out. So sort of having some shared goals with your friends and having those deeper money conversations can make it easier and more enjoyable for everyone, so that every Wednesday night you're not freaking out being like, I hope Harrison doesn't want to go to the Cheesecake Factory.
That's happened to me before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think, like, the more you can open up with your friends around just how you're spending your fun money or your entertainment money, it can lead into like deeper conversations. Like we talked about a little bit, like, around like roommate conversations. So whether you're like splitting the bills or splitting the responsibilities or like picking where you want to live. Like my junior year in college, I moved into a house with 5 other girls, and 4 of us shared bedrooms and 2 people had their own bedrooms. And so it was a conversation around like, well, how much should the people who have their own bedrooms pay versus the people who share a bedroom, and what does that all look like? So I think the more we can normalize these conversations and know, like, it's not personal. The person that has their own bedroom should pay more in rent than the person who's sharing a bedroom, and to just talk it out to make sure it feels fair for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think
that's true. Like,
communication
definitely,
is
like,
key. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Harrison.
oh, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, especially with the roommates thing that you're talking about, like the sharing the different size rooms, and like, or like someone having their own room, like maybe paying more. It makes sense, and like, obviously, like, sometimes it's not the most comfortable thing to talk about, because people come from different backgrounds and people have different needs and things like that. So it can be tricky, but definitely I want to pass it to Ysra because she brought up a really important point about like communication. So
Yeah, I was just gonna add on to the whole like roommate talk. It is like communication is so important if you think about it in like any aspect in life. Like if you want to get something done, you have to communicate it. You can't be that person who just stays quiet or like goes and rants to their other friends about it, but not like actually face the direct person that you want to speak to. And I know it's scary at first, and or you might, especially when it comes to the money conversation specifically, since it is a sensitive topic, you might not be as open to speak about it. But if you don't speak about it, then nothing's gonna happen realistically. Like, so either you do something about it or you just don't and kind of suck it up. And if you ask me, I would rather just be direct and have that talk, and then just see what kind what kind of solutions come up from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's like I kind of see money conversations much like an onion. Like, so if you have a roommate, the outside of the onion, those conversations you have to have is around paying rent and sharing bills. But then because you're already starting those outside layers of the onion conversation, you can keep peeling back the other onion and have more meaningful conversations. Like whether it's talking about where you bank or student loan payment or which credit card you use. I think you can keep having some deeper money conversations. Once you start with the outside layer, just keep peeling back and digging in deeper. What are some of the deeper conversations that you've had with your friends around money?
I can kind of start with this one. So one of my roommates, he's trying to become like a PA, right? He's essentially has to go to med school or a PA school for that. And it's a really long process. And of course, there's a lot of tuition involved. So I guess like one of the deeper conversations that we're having about money is kind of like, right, like why we're going down our career paths and also like how we don't want to like, you know, accrue like debt and things like that. And especially like um, kind of adding on to that, naturally it kind of leads back to the conversation about like, for example, our parents' background and like kind of how they worked really hard to get us like into college and things like that. So really it's about like planning for the future and think about like, hey, what can we do right now to make sure that like by the time we get out of school, like we'll be set and not like super worried or stressed about like paying our bills. Um, I think that is something that's pretty common, not just for like, you know, maybe high school students who are independent or like college students going through college, but also like young adults who are really, or just people in general, right? Either beginning their career or pivoting and like pursuing maybe a different type of industry or something that can be pretty scary. So yeah, that's kind of like something I talk about with my friends.
Yeah, I think it's very important to invest in the long run, because I know many of us young people are always so focused on the short run, or kind of like just satisfying our current needs, or we're like, oh, like if I'm craving this, like I want to go get it now, like or if I want to see this movie, I'm going to go to the movies and watch it. But it's really important to have that mindset where you're like, okay, but like what's future me gonna think, or like do I want to be broke in 10 years, or or can I just like save up some money and just do it the wise way, be like, okay, like I'll go to the movies maybe maybe once a month. That's honestly, that was like my strategy, where I would just go once a month, or when it was a movie that I really like truly wanted to see, then I would be like, okay, like let's go to the movies. But yeah, I think it's good to find that balance where you do give in a little bit to the short term, but still have that mindset where you're like, okay, I'm gonna save up some money just so future me can thank me for that.
Yes, I love that. I love thinking about future you because especially like while you're in college, you have so much time to invest. Like they're one of the famous cliches is time in the market beats timing the market. Or if you look at compound interest from an investing standpoint or even in a savings account, the more you can just get your money in a place where you can make your money work for you through different investments or return or receiving interest or having money and savings to make big moves, whether you want to buy a house or continue your education or start a business. Like so many of your future goals are going to need money. And so I love that like perspective of starting to think about future you. And I think that's such an important conversation. Like the money goals that you have or these little like one-liners that you learn about money, how your friends can benefit from that. Like if you made every money decision with the lens of like, will future me thank me for this? I think you're going to have more intentional you're going to make more intentional decisions and have a clearer path for how to build wealth and to have a healthy financial future. I love this idea of like thinking about money not in just present day. You kind of mentioned thinking about your future you. We also talk a lot about like our current money mindset comes from the way that we were raised. And so Harrison, you kind of alluded to this of like maybe your roommates or your friends grew up with a different relationship with money. So one question I love to ask new people and that I want to ask both of you guys is what is your first memory of money? Who wants to go first? Harrison.
Uh, uh,
Oh no, Ysra, do you want to go?
Did he freeze?
There
Oh no! Oh, he's back. We have him back. Oh, but we can't hear
You're
him.
on mute. Harrison, you're on mute. There we go.
I thought I hit the unmute, but seems like I guess I don't know. I have fat fingers. Anyways, yeah. So one of my distinct memories about money that I kind of had was in kindergarten. We had this like program called Junior Achievements, and it's basically like kind of like teaching like I wouldn't say directly personal finance, but like basically like the super basics, like, oh, this is like what money is. Like you know, you have like dollar bills and like coins, and you can like earn money by like working or whatever. Like it's like super basic. I mean, it's like in kindergarten, right? But that's like one of my earliest memories of money. Other than that, it's really kind of hard to like remember, I guess. But yeah.
What about you, Ysra?
Ysra, if you want to.
Yeah. So I actually have a funny example, but when I was really young and when I was learning how to ride the bike, my dad would like incentivize me with money. He would be like, okay, so if you get on and you write it correctly, like I'll give you $1 or $5. And that was like my first time actually, like I guess making my own money. And like I was very young. It was like literally when I was learning how to ride the bike. And then after that, I kind of this is weird because I didn't have the typical piggy bank, but I had one of those and I actually still have it, but it's like a safe box. I don't know if you wait, sorry. It looks like a box like this and you can put money into it. And I got one pretty young and I started putting all that money into it. And like every time I would have like birthday cash or like Christmas cash or any money that I would get, I would just like put into it. And I guess I don't know how that came about, but I kind of had a saving mindset since I was so young. Maybe it was because of like the biking days, and like I wanted to like have each dollar and like be like, okay, like once I reach $10, I can actually buy something. Maybe that's where it comes from. But yeah, I basically used that box to save up the money, and now obviously I have a bank account. But that was kind of my strategy growing up, is like every time I would have cash, I'd put it in that box, and then like once in a while I would treat myself. I would be like, okay, I could take out like $20 from here and put it towards like a shirt that I really want or something. But yeah, it all started back with those biking days.
Yes. And what I love about this question is that it's fun to look back on the past. It's also like easier to talk about the past than the present day. So, you know, people are more willing to share what happened 10, 15 years ago versus what happened yesterday. So this is a fun, good conversation starter. What I always love is that it always involves somebody else, because somebody has to introduce us to the concept of money. So it's our parents, caregivers, siblings, friends, and there's always an emotion. So Ysra, like you were just really proud of riding your bike or saving up. And so we have this emotion with money. And I think it's important, especially as we talk about money with our friends, to understand like they have emotions with their money too. And the way that they grew up could be very different than the way you grew up, and to just have like respect for each other and some, you know, empathy and compassion to let people be, to just better understand, I guess, where everybody's at with their money. There's also a lot of money narratives that we grow up with, that we learn primarily from our parents or our caregivers, whether it's money is the root of all evil. You have to, or you have to take a risk to make more money. You know, leverage other people's time and money is how you get rich, or rich people are greedy. There's all these kind of money narratives and one-liners that we learn about with money. Josh in the comments said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So that's like a great thing that you grew up learning. And I love like sort of having these open conversations with your friends of like, what did you grow up talking about with money? And then how does that impact you now that you're in college? And how do you want that to impact you when you're an adult and when you get to make all the money decisions? I think it's important to remember, like, we get a lot of independence and freedom in what we want our relationship with money to be like, and to hear more perspectives, whether it's increasing our personal financial literacy by going through a YouNancial course, or attending a Pledgettes event, or talking to Pledgette members, talking about money with our friends, like getting all of these different perspectives about money, so that maybe we don't put so much pressure on our parents that they need to teach us anything and everything about money, but that we get to learn from all these different ways.
Yeah, that's very true. I was just gonna add on really quickly to that is, oh my god, I just lost my thought. I had a train of thought that I was like, okay, I'm gonna say this right after her, and I totally just blinked out.
When you remember it, let's come back to it.
Okay.
It's such an important part about having money conversations, is like understanding and respecting the emotional side of money as well as the financial side.
I'm still trying to remember it, but in the meantime, if Harrison, you would like to add anything.
To be honest with you, I've been, I don't know, like the string has a little bit of that crackling sound. I've just been trying to dig into a little bit, but definitely like when it comes to like kind of growing up with like these conversations about money, like I think that a large part of what we're influenced by is our parents. Definitely kind of like the lessons that they instill in us at a young age. But also I feel like sometimes it's like what we see on like TV and like in the movies as well can also affect our perception of like, for example, how easy or difficult it is to like make money, right? And growing up, we kind of realized that how we perceive money, whether it's in a good or a bad way, it changes as we experience more things. So, um, which is kind of a cool thing because you could grow up, like maybe not in the best neighborhood, like struggling, but like over time, when you have more money, maybe you still maintain some of those like saving habits, but then you also learn that, hey, like I am capable of like, bringing in this income. I am capable of like, and I deserve to be able to have like, the things I want because I work hard for them. I think like that in itself is pretty inspirational because it goes to show that once you kind of pick up on these things over the years, right? Like whether it's through something like the Pledgettes or YouNancial, or it's simply through like self-learning online or reading books, you can get to where you want to be if you're truly determined to get there. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool that there are so many different organizations out there that want to provide financial literacy access to more people. Like, we want to give more opportunities to those. So often, with our weekly expert-led programming, we'll have some people that'll come in and they'll show us a money concept or walk us through an exercise, and I get so excited. I think it's so incredible. And I'm like, why doesn't everybody get this in school or, just growing up or on TV or anywhere? And oftentimes I'll say like, well, wealthy people always get this. And so, they start building estate plans and wealth plans and have a different relationship with money than middle America or than low income families do. And what I think is so great is there is more and more access to improving your financial life. And it's important to remember that nobody is born with financial literacy. Everybody who knows anything about money learned it, just like you learned how to ride a bike or or math or any of the stuff that you're studying in school. Like, everything is learned. And because financial literacy isn't often talked about in school, it's awesome to go outside of the typical class and to say, like, I want to take a course on YouNancial, or I want to attend a Pledgettes event, or I want to read a book, or I want to have a money conversation with my friends. Like, you need to create this own like learning path for yourself to learn about money, because there are so many ways for you to feel good about making money, do good with your money. There's so many ways to build wealth, whether it is going and getting a high-paying career or investing earlier or saving or, having all these different strategies, whether you want to invest in the stock market or real estate or cryptocurrency or businesses or, precious metals, whatever you want to invest in, whatever strategy you have for building wealth, you get to learn about it. You get to make these money choices. Because if you have $1, you have the choice to save it, spend it, invest it, donate it. You get to choose what you want to do with it. And so I think it's so great to go with Ysra's question of like, is future me going to thank me for this? Or to learn about the potential ways that you can make money now and to start doing that. We talked a little bit, I want to talk about like when we are engaging our friends in these conversations, like doing it with empathy and compassion, because we all have a different relationship with money, but then also making sure that like we're helping our friends by sharing our experiences and not like giving them advice, not saying like, you need to build wealth this way. You need to open this credit card and open this bank account and put this money here. But to just share your experience so that like we can all benefit from it. And Harrison, we were talking about like there's a lot of YouTube channels out there or Instagram influencers that are part of affiliate programs. So if they get somebody to sign up for a credit card or something, they get a benefit. Kind of how do you see that? And then how would you share with your friends, like if you got a benefit for them signing up for your credit card, like what do you think that conversation should look like?
Well, I mean, I'll kind of give you an example, like some of the, I guess, like content creators I kind of like watch. One of them is like, he's a real estate investor, like real estate agent, investor, etc. His name's Graham Stephan. He made it very transparent that, for example, you know, if you sign up using one of his links, you get value and he gets value. And I think it's important, like when bringing stuff like this too, is emphasizing the benefit that they have and kind of saying like, hey, like, you don't have to use my link. Like if you, right, like let's say you like want to help your friend start building credit and like recommend them a student card and you can get like a referral thing. I mean, you should straight up tell them like, hey, if you use my thing, like I'll get like $100 worth of like credit. But even if you don't use my link, I would still encourage you to do it because it would do X, Y, and Z. But then again, like I think it goes kind of back to like you don't want to like tell them what to do, right? Because when it comes to making financial decisions, ultimately that is their decision, and ultimately, again, it's kind of like a sensitive topic at times. So, you know, as like friends and as people trying to kind of help people about financial literacy, it's important that we make the resources to learn about it and like take action with it like really easy to understand and like fun to learn. But at the same time, you know, we have to understand that just because we have one idea of like where we want to go with like our journey doesn't mean that other people have the same idea. And I can kind of give you an example of this. So my brother, he's 2 years older than me. He's working at like well, he's working full time, right, in the Silicon Valley. And he really likes this thing called credit card churning, which is basically when you open up different credit cards with like sign up bonuses and kind of taking advantage of that. And of course, you know, you get like cash back and things like that. So I personally, I only have like, you know, like 2 credit cards, but my brother is always like, hey, you know, like you should check out this card, you should check out this card, you should check out this card, right? It's worth signing up for. It's like, obviously, have a different approach. Like I personally don't like managing a lot of credit because to me, like I don't want to be stressed out about like, for example, paying different bills on like different cards. I like having it all being consolidated. So just things like that, you know, like we might have different priorities than other people. So we kind of just should give them the information, kind of let them do their thing.
Yeah, I love that. And then also, like, as you're getting advice from people, only do the stuff that works for you. So, you know, credit card churning or manufactured spending, do your own research on it to see if it works for you, because there are pros and cons to every money move. And then I think you have to kind of filter every money move, both from an emotional and a financial aspect, because there might be the greatest potential investment that's going to give you the greatest ROI and make you the most money in the world, but it might be risky and you might lose sleep over it, or you might not eat. Like it might just stress you out so much that it's not worth it. So I think balancing and creating a plan for you that works both emotionally and financially is perfect for you, because you are your own unique person. At the end of the day, like it's all your money. It's not like anybody who's giving you advice is going to like help you out if the investment doesn't work like it's supposed to, or if that credit card wasn't a good credit card for them. It's not like anybody's going to help you in that situation. These are ultimately your decisions. But it's really about having these conversations to learn from other people and like what has worked for them. And also, I would just say, especially on YouTube and Instagram, or even your friends, like understand where they're coming at with that advice. Are they a licensed professional? Like, do they have a Series 6 or a Series 7? Like, do they have a Series 7 or a Series 66 of like, what makes them qualified to give you financial advice? And is that the type of financial advice that you want? Because I know there are a ton of like money hack videos and Instagram accounts out there that are basically people sharing their own experience. So whether they are doing credit card churning, buying cryptocurrency, making different stock purchases, understand if they have received the training to give you legal advice, if they have a fiduciary responsibility. That's important if you start working with someone, or if they're really just sharing their experience. And if they're just sharing their experience, do extra research before you do anything. Make sure that it's also a good money move for yourself.
Yeah, I think it's important to not rely on one source, just like adding on to that. Like when you are considering these options and you're doing your research, don't just listen to one person and be like, oh, that's my best friend. I'm gonna have the same experience as them. Because no, you're not gonna have the same experience. Everyone has a different experience. And it's really important to hear out these different stories. And like you said, Jen, like really assess where these people are coming from and like, are these credible sources? And if you don't have credible sources, then just hear the different stories, do your own external research, and then after doing all of that, then make that decision. It's definitely not something you can just do overnight. It's just like an investment. You have to put the time to learn to reap the rewards.
Yeah.
To reap the rewards.
I love the way that like my grandma responds to any type of advice the same way. She just like smiles and nods and says, that's nice. And then goes and makes her own decision. So like whatever you tell my grandma, that's how she responds. She like thanks you for the advice and smiles and nods, but then makes her own decision. So I think if you get with a group of your friends, and let's say like you're going to have a night of money conversations and you guys are going to talk about investing. It's great. There are investor clubs out there where every meeting you're supposed to bring a stock to share, and you're supposed to talk about the research that you made on that stock and why you are purchasing that stock. It doesn't mean that everybody else has to purchase that same stock. It's just having a conversation. So, Ysra, I think you're so spot on of like, kind of as Josh was saying, like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your eggs in one basket of somebody giving you advice. Like, do your own research, talk to different people. That's what I love about group conversations, whether you are talking about student loan debt or investing or your favorite credit card. Everybody has made a different decision, and it could work for everyone. Like, we don't all have to do the same exact thing. I would love to like share what are some apps or some finance tools that you are using or that you guys are excited about that you think other people should check out. Harrison, I'll start with you.
There we go. I have a couple. I don't want to get into too many specifics just for like security reasons, but I definitely encourage everybody who's curious about investing to look into free brokerage apps where you can basically start investing even with like a few dollars And the best part is there are no like brokerage fees. So for every trade, you don't have to pay money on top of like the actual stock price. Not only that, you know, with the more expensive stocks out there, like Amazon, for example, that's like $2,000 a share. Like, you know, that's a lot of money. And for some of us who maybe can't buy multiple shares, like just all at once, you can do what's called like you can buy fractional shares. So you can say, let me just put like $100 or like $200 into Amazon. You can do that, and you know it's the same Amazon stock, just a smaller piece of it. Other than that, I think it just depends on your goals. There are some apps out there that kind of help you, for example, see how much you're getting, like bringing in every month and like spending every month, like Mint. That's like a really popular one. You can kind of see like a really fast snapshot of where you're doing that month. Um, there's a lot of gimmicky ones, kind of like Acorns, where it like takes away, or like, you know, like ideally at least different apps that get you to save. But something really important to know is that some of them have fees, and really like you don't need um, an automated service sometimes to like start saving money. Like you can do that straight through your bank, for example. You can set that up. So I think I would advise everybody to really do your research, find something that's a good fit for you, and also be cautious of like, hey, for example, how's this app making money, right? Like what is their ultimate end goal as well? Because I think that will help you understand the future direction of maybe right, like how reliable it is. Like I'll give you an example for Acorns. They used to have like a student, like a college student thing where they would kind of waive like the monthly fee, like it would be like $1 a month, you know, like waive that, so you wouldn't have to pay it, right? But then they kind of like took that off without telling anybody, so it was just start automatically charging you every month. And obviously, like you don't want surprises when it comes to finance. Like, yeah, there are going bound to be things that you don't really expect to happen at times with the market, but like, I mean, you want to know who's holding your money, right? You want to be confident about that. So definitely do your research, but you know, there is a good reason why a lot of people are using like Robinhood or Webull or apps like that, because they do their job, and they do their job like relatively well for a free brokerage app. So definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like, understand that these are all businesses. So they're all making money in some way, but it may be worth the way that they're making money for if it helps you with your finances. So if it helps you invest at a lower price, if there is a personal finance manager, Harrison mentioned me. Navit is also an awesome one. YNAB, or You Need a Budget, is another personal finance manager. So you can start seeing all of your money in one place. And then there are so many different financial apps out there. I think that would be a great conversation to have with your friends of like, what finance apps are you using? And I think that would be an awesome evening discussion. Ysra, do you have any apps that you wanna, or financial tools you wanna give a shout out to?
I actually don't have any that I currently use, but I do want to point something that Sean said in the comments. He said that he likes to use mobile banking apps, and I would like to agree with that because that's what I actually use too. It's kind of like my holy grail. Like I just look at the app every single day. That's how I track how much money I have, how much money that I'm like spending, and just I guess I use my own like personal budgeting way of doing it. I'll be like, okay, like if I'm spending too much, I need to stop spending too much, and then vice versa. But other than that, I know Robinhood has been one that I've been wanting to get into, but kind of relating to what we were talking about before, like I want to make sure I do my research before I get into it. And I know that I've like reached out to a lot of people, and a lot of college students do say they use Robinhood, but like we said, like I don't want to rely on that, and so that's why I haven't had the time to get into it yet, but it is something that like once I do the proper research and take the time to see what it's all about, then I'll make that decision. But it's something that's been on my mind for a while now. I'm like, like I do want to get into investing, but I want to do it the right way. I don't want to just do it blindly. And so that was kind of like the moral. A lot of the conversations we had today is like, do your research first, because especially when it comes to money, you don't want to make dumb choices. You don't want to just like go into it too quickly. And yeah.
Yeah. So as we come up on the hour, I'm going to ask each of you to give kind of your final comment. Harrison, why don't you start?
Okay, I'll say that learning about personal finance and just learning about your relationship with money is a gradual process. You'll go through a lot of experiences that can affect how you view not only your saving and spending of money, but like depending on different situations that you go through, like it'll impact kind of like how you interact with money, right? And I think it's important to like be patient with the process and be patient with yourself, because like with anything else in life, like it takes a lot of time to really master and like understand your relationship with money. And once you do, like you do get to know yourself a little better as well. So of course, at the end of the day, money is kind of limited on what you can do with it, right? Like you can't, well, okay, like you can buy material things with it, but at the end of the day, like money is not necessarily as important as like your relationships with other people and stuff. So it's kind of like as you're learning about personal finance and stuff, like make sure you also remember about like not only your relationship with money, but your relationship with your friends and things like that. Like make sure you prioritize those things above just like working all the time and like making money and like saving money, because you don't want to be like Uncle Scrooge or whatever. Is it Uncle Scrooge? I don't think it's Uncle's.
I think it's just Scrooge. Yeah,
Okay.
Ebenezer Scrooge. I don't know if it's the uncle or.
Yes, you don't want to be an Ebenezer Scrooge. Okay. But yeah, with that, I mean, I'll pass it on to Ysra.
Yeah, so there are going to be like a lot of external sources that do try to influence you, whether that be your parents, your friends, or even the stuff you see online. But definitely kind of relating to the point that I said earlier, don't just rely on one source. Definitely do your research, take your time. And like Harrison said, it is a patience game. You shouldn't expect things to just be handed to you or things to just be easy all the time, because obviously things aren't so easy in life. Like usually the best things in life come when you wait for them. So like, as I like to say, like patience does bear fruit. And so when you do wait, that's when you'll get the best rewards. And it's the same thing with like investing with money. Like when you do put in the time, you put in the research and the dedication, that's when you'll get the most out of it. And even if it does take time, like let it be, just wait it out, and then things will just fall into place. And yeah, also adding on, money does not buy happiness. So even when you do start making more money, don't let it go into your head. Like Josh said, money solves money problems, but it doesn't solve everything else. Still cherish the things that money doesn't buy, such as friendship, family, those moments of life that you won't get back. So yeah, just be happy and keep striving for what you want in life.
I love that. And so to just wrap up this conversation on talking about money with your friends, the perk of having financially savvy friends is that you can have these elevated money conversations. They can help you reach your goals. The Jim Rohn quote is, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you want to keep your best friends and if you want them to grow with you, start having these money conversations. If you are looking for more people to have money conversations with, I love having money talks. You can always email me, Jenn@Pledgettes.com, or find me on Instagram. Talking about money is my jam, and I'm so grateful, Harrison and Ysra, that you guys invited me here today for this LinkedIn Live on how to talk money with your friends. I hope we can keep all these money conversations going. I hope that we inspired you to start peeling back the layers of the onion and talk about money more with your friends. Thanks for all who joined us live in the comments. This was awesome. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much to everyone who joined, and
All right.
a big thank you to Jenn for being with us today and giving all your insightful advice. Really appreciated that. And yeah, anything you want to say, Harrison, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, thanks again for joining us. Thank you, Ysra, for being a part of this as well, and kind of like bringing up some really great points. And I think kind of like this being our first live stream, we're excited to like definitely push this out as you'll see this on our channel maybe, and then also like just moving forward, we'll definitely be like making some tweaks to make sure that everything is maybe a little smoother next time. But with that being said, I hope that you guys got value out of our conversation today, and you can find all of our social media platforms in the description. So if you want to take a look there, stay connected with us, and we'll definitely be pushing out more content soon. So really appreciate everybody that came out today and supported us. And with that, if you're not beginning your financial journey or personal finance journey today, maybe today's a good time to start. I mean, just look at that Tesla stock that jumped 10% today. I mean, you could be whatever. Anyways, with that, that's all I really have to say. Thank you guys again, everybody that's part of this, and we'll see you soon. Yeah.
Thank you.